Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the MBM Ministry Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Minister Ryan Smith, Virtue Church Christ, right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Season 1, episode number 26. Y'all, we're just going to keep going until the Lord say stop. So we're just going to keep going. Episode 26, I have a very good friend of mine who I have come to know over the last 8 years since I have relocated back here to Tulsa. Good friend of mine. He is one of the many ministers to the Park Church of Christ right here locally in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That is Minister Kevin Peters. I'm excited about his story. If you don't know him, you really want to tune into this episode. I'm excited about what he's going to share with us and just how he's going to bless us. Let's go ahead and jump into it, y'all. Kevin, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm good. Blessed to be here. Love this setup. Love what you've done with the thing. Love what you're doing with this. Love this ministry you're putting out for people. I hope it's a blessing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, man, definitely. I was just saying before we started the show, man, 26 episodes in, I remember starting it and how much of a novice.
There's a learning curve for sure with all this. The amount of technology that goes into this, and even just the heart behind it.
Yep.
You know, like trying to have the technology catch up with the heart is a lot, because the heart's all there and full, and then you gotta do a lot to surround itself. So,
yeah,
you're doing a really good job.
Appreciate it, man. We are just blessed to have you on. Like I said, you're one of many ministers that serve the Park Church, and so. As a minister to another minister, man, you got family, you've got a pretty busy calendar, and so for you to take the time to come and just sit down with yourself and sit down with those who are familiar with this, we definitely appreciate it.
Well, I just appreciate the relationship that we've had and that our churches have, and so this is more than
definitely. Yeah, man. So jumping into it, man. Like I mentioned. You and I have gotten to know each other over the last close to a decade now. I've been back home in Oklahoma for 8 years now, and I've pretty much been affiliated and been in fellowship with you and the congregation for a while now. So I know there may be someone online who may not have privilege to know you. So just in a nutshell, man, just kind of tell us who is Kevin Peters.
Well, said minister of the Park Church of Christ, been there. I think technically we've just passed the 7.5-year mark. I've been a minister there. I did 8 years of youth ministry in the Oklahoma City, Edmond area.
Okay.
And then before moving to Tulsa, a couple of years of mission work before that. So I'm in year 18 or so of full-time ministry. And so that's been sort of my ministry at church and professional life over almost a couple decades now, but I'd say that of course it defines me in some way. There's some real things that it's had my life in my heart for a long time, but there's certainly some other things that I don't always that are just as close to my heart, define who I am just as much as, which is of course is my family. I'm married. I've been married 11 going on almost 12 years now.
Praise God.
And my wife Amanda is incredible, and she has blessed us with 2 amazing kids. We have a daughter who just turned 8 and a son who turns 10 in a couple weeks here. Yeah. So almost 10 at 8, and that they keep our schedule as full as anything else.
Yes. Yeah.
And so it's my wife Amanda, then my son Henry, my daughter Hallie, and they're just amazing little humans, and they're just that age. They're starting to develop a sense of the world outside of themselves. Not always good at expressing it, and things are all still very personal, very internal, but you can see the outside world starting to affect them in different ways, and then starting the process and even talk about their faith, and they're starting to develop what is their faith. I mean, it's early for sure, because we would still say that same thing about teenagers.
Yeah.
But this age, they're starting to ask a question. We read the Bible at night, and we'll just say, "Hey, what questions?" Come up with some questions. I don't have any idea how to answer. But I mean, there's some really neat process, and just giving kids the ability just to kind of spitball. Just what's off the top of your head? What do you think about when you hear Jesus talk? See Jesus.
It's like they say, kids say the darndest thing.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, so that definitely keeps me on my toes, and my son the other day just turned to Matthew 5. Start. Dad, can you memorize it? What you memorize it? Go ahead and say it, and I'll see if you're right.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
Try go. All right.
Blessed are. Okay, here we go. So
yeah.
But they're getting into it and starting to enjoy their. So me as I'm getting off track for your kid, but just me as a husband, as a dad, I try really hard to let that define me, even primarily define me.
Yeah.
And that is the primary place where my faith in God and my following Jesus and my trusting the Holy Spirit will be lived out.
Yeah, for sure.
And my ministry, my job, my career, not that it feels secondary to that, but I'm not trying to put my family on the back burner so I can be really good at ministry.
Yeah.
I try to do my job to the best of my ability, and I try to give all of my best to that.
Right.
But I try not to let that get out of balance.
Yes. That makes perfect sense.
And so those two things end up taking up a lot of my time. And leisure time just for my own personal enjoyment.
Right.
Gets some of that gets time to be taken away from that.
Yeah.
Part of my life.
I understand it's a Bible lesson.
And you get it. But on some level, it doesn't feel like a total sacrifice, because while you're saying no to some of those things, what you're saying yes to feels just all important.
Yeah.
And no doubt there's some time that I left getting away in a good round of golf, which I'm still not really at. But playing sports, just doing fun things. Wife and I go to concerts and shows and movies, and like movies as families, nights, and So man, those are things that just take up most of my time. It's
good. It's nice. So, and that's the whole point in these episodes, man, is to, and I love how you mentioned you do serve and work with the Lord's Church, where your primary focus is your family, because that's the most intimate setting in your life, outside of God Himself. And so, you mentioned you had a stint in admin and youth ministry, and so now you carry the title of the spiritual formation minister. And so, when you look at different titles or different assignments that people are given, and a lot of times, you hear, okay, senior minister, you hear associate minister, you hear youth minister. I've never heard of a spiritual formation minister. So if you will just kind of take some time and kind of walk us through that, and what does it mean to be the spiritual formation minister?
Well, so you've heard the phrase, run until you're tackled,
Yeah.
So that's a title that I really gave myself, and I just kind of ran with it. Nobody tackled me, so that's kind of what stuck. But what that means to me is when you look at and do your own reading and research into what it looks like to help people become formed into the image of Jesus. The practices and the habits and the things that humans do, our efforts to allow ourselves to become formed by Jesus. Sort of the tilling of the soil that we do that allows God to sprout the growth. Okay. So those things that we do, and you can look at it in the realm of spiritual disciplines, which is time of the word, time of prayer, a long time, and there's you Google and all that. But those things that we do, and even life in community, life with your church family, those things you do. When you read about, when people write about these things and the efforts we make in collaboration and in coordination, partnership with God, our growth, the phrase that a lot of people use for that process is spiritual formation.
Yeah.
And really, in my heart, I'm just wanting to be a resource for other people to help them understand what it is for themselves and their families to grow more into the image of Jesus, to the character and the image of Jesus. Kind of my heart is helping people do that.
Good.
And when we just celebrated at the park. We just celebrated 60 years as a church, which is an amazing thing. It's a great milestone for each. We had a great celebration that we had that Sunday. But we're also 5 years at our new-ish campus. We're in the bullseye, geographically the bullseye of Tulsa from the time, and now we're down in the southeast corner of Tulsa at a new campus. So we're 5 years there. And when we moved there from a kind of a branch model. We had gone to 3 different branches around Tulsa. The Lord kind of led us through that, led us to that. Because of some growth that we're having and some partnerships that just kind of became natural with the Lord, we were just following Him. Our elders say all the time, if we had 10 years ago made a 10-year plan,
The part would have been in the works.
So we really kind of followed the Lord and all that. But we're a 3-branch church, all in Tulsa, different areas and very, very demographically and geographically different areas of Tulsa. And 5 years ago, when we moved to this new campus, we all came back together as one church. That campus was able to.
How'd that feel, man? Going from 1, then going to 3, and coming back to 1.
So when I moved to Tulsa to join the staff here, it was probably a year after the launch into the 3 branches. So I only knew Park Plaza as the 3 branches as a minister. I'd been here sometimes before that, but and so when we moved to 3, we moved from 3 to 1. There was, I would say, there were some growing pains, and a lot of people understood why we're doing what we're doing, and that we're just following the Lord in this. We weren't looking to do this.
Yeah.
That was not in our plans. We were trying to make the branches work. And there's some struggles in that, and some things that I think all branch campuses, branch model people would understand. There's some just things that we're trying to do, getting wrong, getting right, and getting right. So when we moved to 1, it was like a little bit of homecoming for some people. We were able to come back together, and a lot of people love that. Some people that were really trying to pour into these other branches struggled a little bit more with that, and understandably so. And so there's a lot of different attitudes that come together, but there was rarely, if any, nothing that blew up in any kind of way of anybody just throwing a big fit or anything. Everybody understood the heart behind it all, and that we really were following the Lord. And like I said, we weren't trying to do this. The opportunity presented itself. The elders really believe that if we don't look at really intentionally, really strongly, then we will have done our members and just the whole thing in the service. So just wanted to look really clearly at it with clear eyes.
Right.
Not thinking, yeah, we definitely would do that. That'll be so cool because God, is this of you?
Yeah, that's good.
Is this of you? And so due diligence became like the word of the year in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, yeah. Or even the year leading up to that. We looked into every possible aspect of it: spiritual, physical, financial, all different things. And the Lord was very, very clear.
Good.
And the doors He shut, the doors He opened, and just how that process came to be. So it's been good. It's been good, not without its, struggling and growing into it.
Sure.
I say for a long time, it's like try to wiggle your foot into a new boot. You got to kind of work it in a little bit, and so we've done that for a little while. And so there's still changes to the campus happening that we're trying to kind of continue to make the space our own. But it's been a really blessed adventure that God's been leading. It's
sure good. It's kind of like construction here in Tulsa. There's always something going on. Always something.
And I live in South Tulsa, and here's Paul. I live just off of one of the biggest construction projects in town in the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I understand that, and that's you're exactly right.
Yeah.
Always something happening. Always new thing. It's also like a leadership.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's always that one thing is another. And I like I'm learning ministry, and it kind of just follows with just you guys' acquisition of the new location. I've been a number of times now. If you haven't seen this beautiful location, it's definitely an experience to be there with a great congregation like the park. What I've learned in my life, personally, even just professionally, sometimes the best opportunities are not the ones you ask for, but the ones that are presented.
Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's certainly a balance of being bold and moving forward with things you put on your heart. And but I've seen it. I mean, it's been my story over and over that an opportunity presents itself, and then you look into it and say, God, is this of you?
Yep. And
do your own discernment.
Yeah.
And testing and prayer. God, is this of you? Because sometimes things come and they look too good to be true, and sometimes they are.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're not. And sometimes the Lord's decided to bless you, or decided to stretch you, or deciding to just move you in a way that He needs to move you for your own sake. That He's, God is moving in His kingdom, and positions people in His kingdom for very specific purposes.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to grasp it. And God's doing that with me. God is, which, man, it continues to blow my mind, because that means not only did God create me, God knows me and is paying attention to me and is wanting to use my.
Yep, that's good.
That's a powerful idea, because you got to really settle with the idea of it, that God's paying attention and wants you to be a conduit for His own glory.
Yeah. And
so it's gonna position you in a way that can happen even more effectively.
Yes. Let me ask you. You talked about, in a lot of ways, with the new members of the church, just when you're like personally, you talked about mission being stretched and being grown. What's this year? We're on the second half of 2023. What's one of the challenges that you've had to overcome this year, where it really just said, but it really stretched your faith, it really helped you just see God that much more clearly?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've always seen myself as more creative than organized.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, and I think there's some value in people being leaning more heavily toward one than the other.
Right.
I've really sensed God equipping me and showing me all the ways that I can lean into the things I'm not as good at, and be confident in those. I've always had, there's been like maybe a lack of confidence in how effective I can be in certain areas. But what I realized were those were much more internal than external struggles. That was something, just some kind of self-doubt that I maybe lived with for longer than I didn't realize. And so really getting to know myself. I think there's immense value in getting to know yourself and understanding the landscape that is internal. And not just like trying to navigate what's in front of you, but really understanding like why do you work the way you do? Why do you act the way you do? Why do you behave the way you do?
That's a tough question.
They're asking the tough questions of yourself and allowing God to speak into that, doing your own kind of emotional work, and really letting God lead that process. There's some things that I've really sensed God speaking into me, that have empowered me to kind of stand on the things that I know are worthwhile and worth spending my time, and letting go of some things that I feel like I don't need to focus on as much.
Right.
And so it's been the more unhealthy version of me would have kind of tried to juggle too many things, and things that I'm not good at, things I don't really have a heart for, but feel like I'll discipline people if I stop or if I do it. And
It's that pressure.
And as I'm doing that, as I'm starting to let go of, I feel like I have to because fill in the blank.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to because whatever it is, internal pressure, external pressure. That as I've started to let go of those, God's been providing different resources and bringing people into the picture that can fill in gaps. Where I thought, man, and how prideful is this? And that's something I've struggled with for a long time. Oh, I've got to do it because there's nobody else that will do it, and so if I don't do it, so I'm stuck.
Yeah, they call it a God complex.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And so, man, if I don't, then nobody else will. Who are you? Who do you think you are?
Yeah.
And who do you think I am?
Yep.
Like, you think the kingdom of God is going to fall apart if you stop doing the thing that you don't feel like you can step away from? It real, dude. Like, you are.
And then it helps us in so many ways, I think, too. It helps us, one, to know, like you said, not put that pressure on self. Two, and as you know, it's hard for individuals in our position, man, to relax. Like, when I actually have time to relax, I find myself thinking of so many things that I could be doing with this time. You know? It's critical.
Yeah. So just becoming a healthier version of myself, allowing God to speak into the unhealthy parts of me, the prideful parts of me, the scared parts of me, the parts of me that I've kind of felt have been kind of trapped in. No, I just haven't felt free.
Yeah.
And God saying, I set you free a long time ago for all that stuff that you're holding on to.
Yep.
And it's amazing that I feel like when God calls us to die to ourselves, and that's a heady phrase, right? And so what does that actually mean? What if it means let go of literally everything and be willing to be open-handed? God, I'm opening my hands. Everything that I have, that I have any sort of influence in, or play any role in, God, I'm opening my hands with all that. Take all of it. Yeah. And it's amazing what God will keep. It will give back to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what God can give back to you are the things that He knows He can use for His own glory.
Yeah. Yep.
But He's also gonna stretch you and help you grow. And He's gonna hand you some things that are tough.
Mm-hmm.
And He's gonna hand you some things that are good for you and good for others.
Yeah.
And He's gonna hand you something that is not. And that's the thing about it, is the things He gives back to you are not for you. The things He's gonna hand back to you are for the sake of the kingdom.
Yeah.
And so we get this unhealthy relationship. Okay, God, you've given me that. Now I'm gonna hold on. I got it from here.
Yeah.
Thanks for what you've done.
Yeah.
Let's take from here.
Yeah.
He's like, that's not for you. So even the internal growth that I've done, the emotional health journey out of that I've been on, becoming emotionally healthy. There's a great series of books, Emotionally Healthy Church, Emotionally Healthy Leadership, Emotionally Healthy Faith.
Yeah. God, but different.
Some maybe here, but that's the Mark Scazzera.
Okay.
The guy's name is great resources. But that spiritual maturity and emotional health aren't separated.
Gotcha.
And so we can be, you understand, in ministry this happens all the time. This people burn about is people trying to be really spiritually mature while being very emotionally unhealthy, because it's coming from a place of there's some anger and some greed and some pride and some things that are working on them, but they know scripture.
Yeah.
They know how to communicate it.
Yep.
They know how to organize it. They know how to motivate other people. But inside, they're
with apply and use it for your own.
That's right. Turn on yourself. Love. Allow God to love you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Be willing to be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Be open-handed with even the things you feel that you feel strongly about.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not to diminish the idea of truth.
Mm-hmm.
We hold on strongly to the truth of who God is.
Right.
But I'll just say this: I become a lot more aware of the value of great questions more than polished answers.
Mm, yeah.
And so that's been a big journey of just being open-handed. Man, I could be wrong about some stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
The way I come to scripture, the way I come to faith, I look at things and I bring my baggage to it every time. Mm-hmm. And so I try to keep away from that, but to the extent that I'm gonna carry this out to the extent that I fully understand it. But I'm gonna love. I want to love more than be right.
That's good. We're conditioned, I think, as ministers to have all the answers.
Yeah.
I think that's not realistic. It's not authentic. And this era of life in this generation, the world and community and spiritual communities that we are called to minister to, they can see right through that. And they can really see right through that, man. So definitely appreciate that insight, man. Lastly, before we let you go, we just appreciate you coming on and just sharing so much with us. I mean, we personally, those who've been watching, you've definitely been just benefited, just getting to know Peter, but just behind the scenes of who we are, you know. And so before we let you go, man, you know, you've talked about things that you've had to overcome. There's a this is digital, this is virtual. So, you know, those who are viewing, and so to those who are viewing, you know, if there's some parting words of advice and wisdom you could share just to help encourage, because we're always in a state where we need prayer and encouragement. I mean, so what's the final word you can do to just encourage people?
Wherever you find yourself in whatever efforts, and I would consider if somebody's watching this, and if somebody's still listening by now, then I would say there's an effort that you want to make in your church.
Yep.
That somebody's trying, that they will do something. Anytime anybody shows up to church service, it's something that they're doing. It's one of the efforts that we make.
Yes.
Be in community. And I think that comes with maybe a little bit of some assumptions or expectations of what God has for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think my encouragement would be that there's always more.
Yeah.
There's always deeper faith than you even believe it's possible for you to have. There's more healing and forgiveness from God than you even believe He could give you. There's deeper community and relationships than you might even expect. I think God will give us more.
Yeah.
And I just think about that, like whatever you think God has for you, He's got more. And it's not more material, but it's not wider, it's deeper. And whatever God is trying to do for you, just open your mind up to know that it could be more. There could be more full healing from the things that you've been through. There could be deeper, richer, like I said, forgiveness. And I think that's something a lot of people really struggle with. Is forgiveness for themselves, allowing themselves to be forgiven and to live forgiven.
Yeah.
And if some people are carrying around stuff that they can't even allow themselves to be happy.
Right.
And so they end up sort of in this kind of dull way of living because I could never, not because of what I've done. Look, you don't know what I've done. So
Yeah.
can you imagine that God can actually heal and forgive you?
Right. Yeah.
Can you imagine the freedom that would come from letting yourself be forgiven and be healed?
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, when you dig to the bottom of all that, there's a God there waiting with forgiveness and grace and mercy and healing and joy and peace and fruit of the Spirit that He wants to give you.
Yeah. Man, that's awesome, man. We definitely appreciate you just sharing yourself, sharing your life. Tell men and the kids, hey, we appreciate them, man, for loaning you to us for this time. We definitely appreciate it, man. That concludes this episode, man. Lastly, before we go, tell us how can we find you, the church and the ministry online.
So our website, theparkchurchtulsa.org, you can go just get a glimpse of some of the things going on. We are a stream church like almost everybody else these days.
Yeah.
So we have a YouTube channel. There's an Instagram page that we're also trying to get better at in all those ways as well. So those are the primary ways that you can find us. But we'd love to have anybody come visit our campus and let us see how we can partner with you and help walk with you in your journey.
Blessings again. That concludes this episode. If you found value in this, definitely like this, definitely support this ministry by sharing it. Let someone else be blessed by this conversation and dialogue that my good brother Kevin and I have shared. Until next week, again, we do this every Thursday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Until the next episode, we'll see you then. God bless you. God keep you. Peace.